Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. In the convoluted world of relationships, where emotions run deep and misunderstandings lurk in the shadows, we question what lies beyond the realm of a platonic connection. Today in the rLounge, it's so much more than a wine stain. My wife, female 32, recently had wine spilled on her by my best friend, female 31, during our wedding. Now she is demanding that I, male 33, cut ties. Me and Eiley met through a mutual friend in 2012 during a pub quiz at university. I was quite attracted to her and actually told her so at the end of the evening, but she told me she had a boyfriend even though she was flattered all the same. Fast forward 3 years later. I met Eliza at the Edinburgh Fringe and we just clicked immediately. Politics, music, cinema, whatever the subject approached, there was a spark that I'd never felt with anyone else. Like, she just made sense with me. Her personality was just vivid. It's hard to describe, but I'll try. On first impression, she was so knowledgeable and enthusiastic. I was taken aback by her intensity. From that point onwards, we were inseparable and I was dead certain of our future together long before we got engaged. Enter Eiley again. I started a new job at an advertising firm with a position in web design, and she was one of the only people I knew. At first it was a little awkward given our history, especially considering that she was now married to the boyfriend she was dating back then. But there was no one else I knew at the firm, and we both had partners at this point, so it couldn't hurt to be friends, right? And to be honest, I'm glad because I feel like our chemistry as friends superseded any potential we might have had as a couple. She's clever and has a bit of cheeky personality. I'm quite dry and sarcastic myself, so I reckon we have a pretty fun dynamic. Eliza doesn't seem to feel that way, though. Sometimes when it's been the three of us, she has expressed a feeling of being left out or that Eiley has been making fun of her. I don't see it. It's just our dynamic. But there have been a couple of nights where Eliza's been in tears because of something that Eiley has said. One time, Eliza got out of her seat and Eiley sat down where she was sitting to show me a video on YouTube. When Eliza came back and she saw Eiley leaning next to me and was upset for the rest of the night. Sometimes there have been times when Eiley has said something that Eliza has read as a come on. Like when I said I missed swimming because I felt out of shape, Eiley said, "The two of us should go together," with a playful punch. Eliza didn't say anything at the time, but her discomfort was visible. Things really came to a head, though, on our wedding, and I think the stress of it really got to Eliza. During the reception, Eiley bumped into her and red wine spilled all over her dress. She was bawling the entire evening. We're now on our honeymoon and Eliza has said she hopes for a fresh start, but she feels like Eiley might have spilled her wine on purpose. She's suggesting that I cut ties with her, and if I'm honest, I'm not sure I want to. Where do I go from here? Let's check in with the community for some comments. First up, the number of times I've bumped into someone and spilled my drink on them is exactly once in my entire life, and I was a crap-faced teenager. You're either astoundingly naive or Eiley is somehow the unluckiest woman in the world to accidentally spill her red wine on the bride on her wedding day. I think you know which one is more likely. Your wife won't be staying your wife much longer unless you start actually listening to her and stop dismissing all of her fears as baseless insecurities. The OP replies, Eiley was getting a drink from the bar, Eliza had taken off part of her gown for dining and dancing purposes, and was leaving our bedroom to return to our table. They bumped into each other and Eliza had a huge red stain over her dress. Eiley made an offhand joke and fled, and Eliza ran up to me in bits and pieces. It sounded really bad when Eliza told me, and when she was in bits about the wine spilling all over her dress, and I went to Eiley and asked her what the hell she was up to. Eiley was so mortified and told me she wanted to sink into a hole. She's a dyspraxic and has struggled with falling in impromptu moments. I've actually witnessed it happen before. There was a meeting at work, and she gets our colleagues coffee. The moment she came in, she tripped and fell, coffee flying everywhere. Someone else in the community says, Eiley bumped into your wife in her wedding dress, spilling wine all over it, and made an offhand joke before fleeing? What kind of response is that? The OP replies, she's a really awkward person and doesn't know how to interact with people sometimes. There have been times I have been upset with her because of how glib she's been about personal issues. The next person chimes in, so someone who has a habit of accidentally saying or doing things that make your wife cry accidentally also managed to spill red wine over her white dress on the biggest day of her life, and you don't think that's at all suspicious? If you knew, and imagine here that you somehow knew for certain that she'd done it on purpose, what would your reaction be? Would it change how you thought about her? Give it some thought. The OP replies, I would really be hurt if Eiley was doing it on purpose. I love Eliza and want us to be happy, and I can see that I've really effed up here multiple times. Eiley is a good friend, but if she's deliberately being a wind-up merchant and harming my marriage, then I'll have to cut the cord and stop chumming up to her so much. Eliza sometimes says to me that she can intuit people's opinions and feelings within minutes of meeting them. I've never been like that. My folks have always said that I'm terrible with picking up on basic things. I was at an aunt's house when I was a kid, talking her ear off, and she said, "Oh, it's getting late," multiple times. It was only until my mom dragged me out that I picked up that she wanted me to leave. Someone else says, "It really sounds like you're putting your friend first. No wonder your wife is unhappy. She comes back in tears from hanging out, and you still invite Eiley to the wedding? What was that conversation like?" The OP replies, "She got really upset one time during banter because me and Allie like to roast each other regularly, and Allie roasted her a little too hard, I guess. We were singling out things to insult each other on, and the subject went to Eliza, and Eliza mentioned that she had webbed feet. Since then, Eiley's called her leapfrog. When I say it, Eliza takes it in good stride, but when Eiley says it, it's this massive problem. I don't get it. Eliza has suggested that Eiley's being serious when she says it, as opposed to when I do it. But she roasts me the same way too. She said that I looked like a juggalo's poodle that day because I was wearing baggy metal clothes and hadn't styled my hair, so it was frizzing all over the place." One more comment says, "Why haven't you stuck up for your wife all those times Eiley has hurt her?" The OP replies, "I guess because I didn't know that I needed to? It seems like a perspective thing. Eliza is a passionate person who cries at deluxe puppy adverts, and the intensity is great for a partner, but it can cause problems with friendships. She reads a lot into things her friends do thinking it's intentional, and when she talks to them about what they did, they will be completely shocked and unaware that they hurt her. Eiley is a very sarcastic person in general who rolls with the punches, and to me it reads like they struggle to gel rather than intentional cruelty on Eiley's part. But for what it's worth, Eiley has told me that she's really keen on Eliza and thinks she's a top girl." Honestly, OP, I think it's time to stand up for your wife and really open your eyes. While it's understandable that you value your friendship with Eiley, it's essential to prioritize your wife's feelings and well-being. The incidents you've described, especially the one at your wedding, raise valid concerns about Eiley's intentions and behavior. While Eiley's clumsiness may be genuine, the pattern of incidents where your wife feels excluded or hurt suggests deeper issues. It's crucial to address these concerns with sensitivity and honesty. Consider having an open and honest conversation with both your wife and Eiley separately to understand their perspectives fully. Your wife's feelings should not be dismissed as baseless insecurities. It's essential to validate her emotions and address any underlying issues in your friendship with Eiley. Update. You know I posted here recently looking for guidance on how to deal with my wife's anxiety and hurt revolving around my friend, and it seems like I read the riot act, probably rightly so. I've been completely inconsiderate of Eliza's feelings and how she feels about these roastings, and you alerted me to the possibility that Eiley is doing this just to be a little crap. I sat down with Eliza and we had an in-depth conversation about the wedding incident. I got her to describe the event step by step in her own words. I was leaving the lobby into the dining venue, and Eiley was a little tipsy at this point and already stumbling from the bar. She was initially walking slower but seemed to speed up when she saw me. We collided into each other and she pulled an ashamed face and made a joke about me looking like Rosamund Pike in Gone Girl before scurrying away. She seemed embarrassed in the moment, but she didn't apologize to me. I heard from other people that she was appalled about what happened, but I never heard anything from her directly. It just paints a picture of habitual microaggressions from her that has festered into this ugly anxiety whenever she's around. I pretty much predict whenever I'm in her vicinity, there will be weird behavior or uncomfortable comments, and I don't want to continue being in a situation where my husband brings someone into my home who resents me simply for existing. That was a real gut punch for me. For me, I always felt like it was just insecurity about me fancying Eiley for 10 minutes yonks ago. But Eliza is really torn up about this. She said that the honeymoon has been miserable because the memory has been swirling around in her mind and she feels like I'm going to downplay or dismiss it. No one should feel like they can't just be themselves, especially not at home. I didn't realize what a craphead I'd been, and I apologized profusely to Eliza and decided to phone up Eiley to confront her about the wedding incident. So I did, and it didn't go very well. Basically, I told her that Eliza was really hurt by the wedding dress incident, that she had been hurt by her behavior for a long time, and that she can't bring herself to apologize to Eliza's face. At least she should pay it towards getting the stain removed. And if she couldn't bring herself to even do that, then her friendship had to stop. To say that Eiley was taken aback would be an understatement. She was completely blindsided, asking what was wrong with our interactions that made me want to go to such extremes. I mentioned the leapfrog comment and she went, "But even you call her that," stating that Eliza called her Garfield because of her weight and bright orange hair. When I mentioned that, she ran towards Eliza and didn't apologize for spilling wine on her. She got really upset and started shouting that she wasn't running at her to hurl wine at her dress. She was running from her because she didn't want to talk at that moment because she feels like Eliza hates her and she doesn't know how to go about it. She started pointing out times when Eliza had been funny towards her, and I basically said, "Right, but this isn't about when Eliza has hurt you. This is about when you've hurt Eliza, and it's got so bad that it needs to be talked about." And she started laughing. It was really uncomfortable. I know she does this when she's anxious about something. Eliza asked me if things were okay from the other room, and Eiley demanded if this was set up, and when I tried to explain myself, she hung up. Her husband even phoned me, insisting that he would pay for the damage if it is less stressful for me. I told Ewan, husband, that I appreciated that, but I needed to know where Eiley stood regarding what I just said. Ewan told me that Eiley makes jokes whenever she's anxious or uncomfortable, and that they've wrote about it in the past, but the wedding dress incident is a major issue, and that he wants to smooth things over as much as I do. So him and Allie will pay towards dry cleaning, whilst a condolences hamper is sent to Eliza. Eliza was relieved that Ewan was so understanding, but she wasn't thrilled about Eiley's reaction. Basically said that the Garfield comment was always about her hair and never about her weight, and that she was deliberately trying to make it seem like the bad behavior went both ways. I don't think it's went both ways either, because I've never noticed Eliza roasting Eiley in any real way. Eliza has suggested we try marriage counseling. I was a bit shocked at first because we've only been married a month. But I decided that maybe that's the way forward, because if Eliza reckons that we need counseling for it, then it's clearly a problem. So yeah, me and Eliza are going to try marriage counseling, and my future with Eiley is uncertain. Now let's check in the community for some comments. First up, how do you run into someone while trying to run from them? Is his wife related to Jason and magically appeared in front of her? The next person says, if I know I was dyspraxic and had a history of spilling drinks on people, and I was holding a glass of red wine and saw the bride approaching in a white dress, well, I wouldn't run towards her, that's for sure. Slowly back away, finding a safe place to carefully put the glass down. Yeah, run? Nah. Someone else chimes in, I have dyspraxia, or at least some spectrum of it. Like, that's me. Falling, dropping things, stepping on people, bumping into walls. My wife is always making fun of the walls thing. For some reason, that's the one thing she can't wrap her mind around. Like, it's a wall. It's not moving. Yeah, but the part of my brain that recognizes how much space I need to fit is not full functioning. So I take a best guess. Sometimes the body fits. Sometimes it underestimates and boom, wall hit. If I'm holding a drink without a lid, it is with intense concentration. Always. But at a party, I'm not going near anyone with a drink, let alone the bride. One more comment says, Opie is trying to find the magic logic way through that makes everyone agree and everyone happy. Dude, that ship sailed a long time ago. You're not the mediator. You're not the arbitrator. You are central to this sad little drama and the careless enabler of it. Take the money to the dry clean dress, cut Eiley out of your daily life, and put some distance between you for at least a year. And demonstrate to the woman you married that she's the most important woman in your life, not second fiddle. Marriage counseling could be beneficial for you and Eliza to navigate these complexities and strengthen your relationship. It's a proactive step towards understanding each other's perspectives and finding constructive ways to address issues as they arise. As for your future with Eiley, you may want to reassess the nature of your friendship in light of recent events. While it's natural to want to maintain connections with long-standing friends, it's crucial to prioritize your marriage and ensure that your interactions are healthy and supportive for both you and Eliza. What would you do? Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell before you leave. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's topic, so feel free to leave a comment. See you next time in the rLounge.